I think we are live, besties and bosses. So I'm going live. I'm going to check here. I'm going live from Zoom today because we had some problems on the back end. Yes, it says I am now streaming. This is exciting. So I am just checking the Facebook group because I think I have to pull this up if y'all are going to leave comments so that I can see your comments. I'm going to have this here on the side. We have a slight delay and I think we are all set and working. So don't mind me as I play with the settings here. I know we have a little bit of a delay, but that is okay. I will just toggle back and forth to make sure I see the comments because I don't think I can see them on here. That I think I might be able to minimize this. All right. Tech is not my forte. There we go. So now I can see the comments. Hi, you all. Happy Tuesday. How are you all doing? I am excited for today's conversation. Before we dive in, and this will come up in our conversation today, a reminder that yesterday I launched my new podcast, One Question, Unapologetic Questions for Unapologetic Results. We've got 3 new episodes for you if you want to take a listen. And we will have a new episode every week dropping on Mondays. So if you're on my email list, you will get those reminders, but they'll also be live if you subscribe. If you do listen, I would be so grateful after you listen if you left me an honest review. Honest, please, whatever you think, but those reviews really they help give me feedback so I know, what you all want to listen to, what's landing, what's not landing, and those reviews also help the podcast get in front of more people so we can share the message and shift the narrative, which is really important to me on that podcast. But that is not today's topic, though it will come up on our live stream today. Hey, Courtney. Oh, cool. This is work. Hey, Heather. Nice to having you. Oh, yay. Okay, cool. The Zoom thing is working here. So today's conversation is, which I didn't put a title on here, which is my bad as I was trying to do the tech, but it's what I really think about the Clubhouse app and why this matters for your marketing and your business. So I'm going to share some really honest opinions about the Clubhouse app, and it feels important to preface before I dive into that. This is my personal experience. I think my opinion will be slightly unpopular, and this is what applies to me, my business, what serves me in business. And the conversation I want to have here really is not about Clubhouse, though I promise I will absolutely also talk about Clubhouse a little bit and who I think this app can benefit. Because I do think there are 2 groups of people in specific that I think this new app benefits. However, the conversation we're having, it's really what's underneath my thinking around this. And I think it brings up a mindset and a perspective shift I think is really important for entrepreneurs. I'm talking about with my clients all the time, not just in relation to Clubhouse, but I think Clubhouse is stirring this up for people and something I want to have a conversation around so that I can help all of you start to look at your business from a more neutral, strategic place. So you're making those strategic decisions in your business, whether it's with Clubhouse or something else. Oh, Heather says, yes, there is a title. Awesome. I guess I did do things right. This is exciting. Thanks for letting me know. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts, Courtney says. Heather says, I can't get on Clubhouse because I'm on Android. I'm really curious about your experience. Share all of the things and feel free if you all have questions as well. So for those of you who don't know, I feel like I should just preface what Clubhouse is. I think it has been I've been in the online space for a hot second now, and every so often there is a new app, there is a new marketing tool. And I say marketing tool very specifically. These are all tools. This is not no app here. Facebook, Instagram, Clubhouse, Pinterest, none of that is your marketing strategy. These are all tools we use to get in front of people, right? To connect with people, to build those relationships. There's new tools that pop up. I've been around long enough to see some come, some go, some be really great, some not be so great. Clubhouse is a new app that came onto the scene not too long ago. And I will say, I give whoever created this, I haven't done all the research on who created this, but I give them so much props in terms of, I think this is like a side conversation, what we can really glean from what they did well. The app is, when you're in the app, there are rooms and they're all audio and you can have audio conversations, so no videos, and the recordings aren't recorded. What am I trying to say here? You can't save the recording. So once you leave the room, once conversation is done, that recording is finished. Very similar to, what was it, Snapchat? I think it was Snapchat. I never got on that, but where if you send something, it will kind of dissolve afterwards. Once the room is done, it's very much like a live conversation. Once it's done, it's done. You can bring people up into the conversation And, people who are in the audience, like if this was a Clubhouse conversation, you could come on with me if I invited you up and we could have a conversation back and forth, kind of how people can do join lives. From my understanding, these rooms, some of them go on for hours and days, I've even heard. And there's a lot of buzz around it right now. I'm sure you have heard, people mentioning it, asking if you're on it, asking if you have an invite, because what the marketers for this did really well is they really played on some basic business marketing sales psychology. Us humans love some scarcity. We love some urgency. We love things that are exclusive. We love things that we can't have. And they've made this app invitation only. I think that's how Facebook was back in the start. I don't think I was on Facebook then. It's invitation only. So if you're a member, you have to invite people in. So it gives it that air of exclusivity. And in some circles, people are loving it and just talking about it a lot. And with that comes a lot of noise and insecurity. And I know so many of my clients have been asking, should they be on this? And there's just a lot that can come up around that. So that's what the app is, just so we're, in case you don't know, kind of so we're got the baseline there. Let's see, Tinley says, hi, Kim, I've been curious about Clubhouse as well, so can't wait to hear your opinion. Melanie says, yeah, the days part is the negative aspect. Too much attention needed to be on the app. Y'all are setting me up perfectly for this, and feel free to share your questions with me as well as we're talking about this. So again, prefacing, this is my experience. I am going to share who I think this app is good for, who I think this serves. My opinion does not mean this should be your opinion. What I want to share after my opinion is really unpack some of what came up for me and what I think can be valuable for you across platforms, across your business. So, and I think I shared this in the breakdown couple of weeks ago. I think it was a couple of weeks ago. I'm in a mastermind with 6-figure plus business owners, and we did a joint panel inside Clubhouse for a few hours, and really great experience. Love the people, love the conversation. So I got to experience Clubhouse firsthand. It was on, I was just laughing because it was on all the things we didn't do to scale to multi 6 figures. And I was just laughing at the title, since we were doing something new, to have this conversation. But it was really fascinating being in the app and just seeing what I could really see from the audience perspective, how engaging it was for them and how interactive it was for them, and what a quick relationship builder it was, because they were able to ask questions, in real time, kind of the way you are here, but actually hop on and ask a question. So lots of benefits. I really got to experience just and see like the power of the app for relationship building. And our conversation lasted a good 2.5 hours. And it could have easily gone on for more hours. And when we finished the conversation, again, this is personal to me, when we were finished with that, I felt incredibly drained. I felt depleted, and I felt a little bit of, I'm trying to think of the right way to describe this. So for those of you who don't know, I serve clients one-on-one, and I serve them quite deeply. So we have one-on-one calls, but I'm also serving them between calls in Basecamp and really supporting them day in, like in between every day, basically. And that's really important to me and my work and the way I choose to serve clients. And I just remember this feeling of, I felt like I had just unintentionally given my time away in a way that I hadn't really chosen, that I hadn't put up a boundary around. And I really felt like I hadn't been intentional with my time. And of course I couldn't know before going on the app, but I really felt a little bit almost, and I say this like mindfully, this little resentful, because what I wanted was to be able to serve my clients. And I opened up Basecamp, and my clients needed support then. And it was this really interesting aha for me, and this reminder for me. Not mad I did the panel conversation. I'm so grateful for everyone I connected with on there. I love the conversation. I love the people in the conversation. But what it was really interesting for me, and this is where I want to bring the conversation back to, I'm in my business. I am very, very, very intentional with my business goals, my business focus, my offer, how I want to serve clients, what we're focused on in marketing, and really intentional with where I put my time. As business owners, your time is your most valuable resource. Can always make more money, right? Even if you feel like you're having a hard time making money right now in your business, and I know that can be an annoying thing to hear, that is an asset we can always grow, make more of. We can compound, you can invest. You can't get your time back. We all have the same amount of time. Time is an equalizer. Your time is very valuable. I think at different stages of business, you can leverage your time in different ways, but it is something I'm very, very intentional with, and I'm always mindful of. I'm also mindful with my team. We track hours, we track where hours are going, so we can really be mindful that we're using hours intentionally in the business so that what we're spending time on is driving the business forward. And so if we're putting time into anything, I'm always checking in with very clearly, is this intentionally going towards my top priorities, which are always serving clients well and my supporting my team so they can support me. And then after that, looking at my marketing and serving my audience and showing up to provide value. And so what I noticed with this, and this is, and then I promise I'll also share in terms of who I think the app is beneficial for. I do think there's like a side note to this. But what I noticed here was the reason I felt that way didn't really have so much to do with the app. It had to do with, for a moment here, and I didn't know until I got into the app, but I was unintentionally putting my time in non-priority places in my business. And I felt a bit in this app, given the work I do and what people are paying me for, that I was giving my time freely to essentially strangers that hadn't invested in that time. And that felt, and I know none of my clients would feel this way, but it felt like it wasn't even in respect to the clients who are investing in my services. And it was a really interesting thought process for me. And one of the things that came up, and this is what I want to share with all of you, and what I feel like I'm always preaching, because the other piece it came back to is just this reminder that there are so many places you can put your time and energy in the online space. There are so many marketing tools, there are so many marketing strategies, and they all work. They all work, they all work. However, they work if you have the time and energy and you're intentional and you can show up with them consistently and in a way where you're being really strategic with where you're putting your time. So not just that you're being consistent, but you're being strategic with how you're putting your time. And what I realized with this app is I already have places that I am very strategically putting my time and energy marketing. And this also coincided with, and this is where I said the podcast will come in. And I was also launching a new podcast. And I'm very big in when it comes to marketing strategy. And then I promise I will answer these questions if there are any. But what I'm really mindful of when it comes to strategy and when it comes to strategy with marketing that my clients probably want to smack me sometimes for is really building out one strategy first and getting it working like a well-oiled machine where you can rinse and repeat it where it feels easy before you layer another strategy on top of it, and being really mindful not to throw like 5 strategies at the wall and try and do a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here. Because when we do a little bit everywhere, we tend to get very watered down results in return. It's the what you focus on expands quote, which has to do with mindset, but it's also where you focus your time and attention in your marketing strategies is what will expand. And so when we're spreading ourselves thin, it's like I spend a little time on Pinterest and I spend a little time on Instagram, and a little time on Clubhouse, and a little time on my Facebook group, and a little time on my email list, and a little time on Twitter, and then a little time on Snapchat, and I don't know, wherever the cool kids are hanging out these days. You tend to get a little bit back in return, and nothing has the opportunity to compound and work well enough for you to bring in those sustainable results. And something that has served me really well in my business and helped me make consistent multi-5-figure months and help many of my clients do the same thing or more is really being narrowed in and focused on strategy and where my time and efforts are going so that we can keep going deeper into a strategy and keep going deeper into a process before layering something else on top. And so for context here, like I started on Instagram. After Instagram worked well for me, then I started this Facebook group. Facebook group is y'all get most of my attention. I love you all so much. This is what gets most of my attention. I just layered on a podcast. There's no room to layer anything else on until that podcast that just launched yesterday becomes something that is like working really, really smoothly. And so kind of bringing it back to the mindset around this, and what I realized was if I started now thinking and getting into that pattern of FOMO, which, hey, like I got FOMO too. We all got FOMO. I see all the messages where it's like Clubhouse is the best app ever. And I will tell you the benefits of Clubhouse. There are a lot of benefits there, but it's really easy to get wrapped up in that FOMO and to get wrapped up in the very smart marketing from that app or any other course program out there. And instead of going deeper into what I've just layered onto my strategy, which is a new podcast, which is, layering on top of what we're already doing and my focus and where my priorities are in my business, it would be really easy to get wrapped up in that FOMO kind of shiny object syndrome and go siphon some energy and time off into Clubhouse. And all that would do is give me diminishing returns on the podcast, on this Facebook group, on on Instagram, and on Clubhouse. It wouldn't give me more. I think there's sort of this mentality where it's like, but if I do everything, I will touch everyone, I'll get more. But it doesn't work that way. It just gives you less instead of when you're going deeper into what you're already doing. Right. I want to see comments, and then I have 1,000 more thoughts on this. Heather says, such a great point, resisting the shiny objects and stay focused on your priority goals. You like perfect summary there. I think this is one of those things on resist the shiny objects and just remembering. And again, this is not to say Clubhouse is bad. And I'm actually, that'll be the next best thing we'll talk about here. It's just like who this is good for and where it makes sense. This is not to say Clubhouse is not beneficial. I have clients on Clubhouse. I have clients who are loving Clubhouse. I have friends who are rocking Clubhouse. I know lots of people who are loving it. It's a really valuable tool. But shiny object syndrome is very real. FOMO is very real. And this applies to so many different things. And it is very easy for your mindset to get wrapped around, I must be missing something. There must be something better out there. What I'm doing can't be working well enough. And especially when you're in that place of building, or in that place of, I call it the gap, but that place in business where you started showing up consistently and you haven't seen the results come in yet, which I've been having a lot of conversations with this with clients. So if you're in that place, super normal. This happens for everyone, but particularly when you're in that place, it is really easy to let marketing and FOMO and shiny object syndrome grab a latch and a hold of all the stories your brain wants to tell you about what you're missing out on, how that's better, how that will work better for you. And I think what's really important to remember is something else is not better. Clubhouse is not better. Facebook groups aren't better. It's simply different. It's just different. It's just a different place to put your energy. But as soon as you go and get wrapped around the axle of I'm missing out on something, let me go see if that shiny object syndrome is a thing, like if that's really a thing, what happens is instead of then staying in your process and working something until it works or deepening it so it can work better, again, your energy and focus is just split. If I was on Clubhouse right now, I would not be hanging out with all of you. The reason I'm able to hang out with you, and I love you all so much for being here and those on the replay as well, is I have poured a lot of intentional time and energy into this group. This is not like an accident. You know what I mean? I've poured a lot of time and energy into this. And I'm also very clear on where this Facebook group fits into my overall strategy and how it supports my business and how it supports my income. And we have processes and systems in place with how my team is supporting me with this. And so what I would essentially do is just break that all apart. The other thing that feels important, and then we'll talk about the app a little bit, just looking at my notes. I feel like I have so many things here. So I'm all like, I feel like I've just had like 14 cups of coffee when you're like, I just feel like this is so important. And I feel like this is so important because of the noise online and because I know my opinion is very unpopular. I know everyone, it's the new cool thing. It's like when Periscope or Snapchat, like everybody wants to hop on that. I get it. Like I'm not discounting it. And I'm sure I'll hop on from time to time when there are panels or guest interviews I can do. But that's the reason I want to have this conversation, because I think because it's so popular and because my opinion, I don't know that I've heard very many people say this, but I guarantee there are people thinking this, they're just not saying it. And so if you're sitting on the other side, it's so easy to think, oh, well, like I need to abandon ship and go over there. And I just want to say, abandon ship mindfully. What I would say is tend to your ship, be the captain of your ship, steer your ship. And if your ship is sailing ahead smoothly and it's in a good place and you have space to get one of those little side boats that you can put off the side of your ship, then take that side boat off over and explore Clubhouse or another app. Or if you haven't captained a ship yet and you're just getting started, go check it out. And that is so the two places I see this app serving people. And then there's one other mindset piece I want to share with you here. I think if you are new to business and you haven't, set up shop, so to say, or built an audience anywhere, or you're new to business and you have a ton of time. So in general, what I find is at the start of business, we tend to have more time and less money, income, financial resources to grow a business. And then as you grow, that tends to flip around and you tend to have less disposable time, but more financial resources that you can invest into things like team to help buy some of that time back, does that equation kind of make sense there? So if you're at the start of business and you have a little more time and you have some time to hang out and spend 2-3 hours on an app, that might be it. And this feels like this would be a really cool way to like place to grow an audience. Have at it. You know what I mean? Like go check it out. But I think do it from an intentional place where you realize this will be, it is a time conducive app where like that's part of what the app is about. And that is the case for any strategy you're going to start with. Like this isn't like you might be in a Clubhouse room for 2 hours, but to be very real, when I started this Facebook group, there was a lot of time and energy poured into this group. There still is a lot of time and energy poured into this group. It just maybe looks different than sitting in a Clubhouse room. And so I would just think again, where do I want to put my time and energy? But you might have a little more time, free time to pour into something and to explore something, especially if you haven't gotten really clear on where is the place I want to grow an audience, where's the place I want to share value, share content. I would be very, very mindful to my entrepreneurs about sitting and hanging out in rooms consuming content for hours at a time. I think that is a place we get into a slippery slope of distraction and not focus on growing your own business and creating your own content. The other place I see Clubhouse and the other group of people I would say Clubhouse is a great place to run at is for those people where it's like it just fits your personality and your strengths and your zone of genius so well. So I have one girlfriend who is in my mastermind. She led the conversation. Go check her out if you're interested in Clubhouse and you feel like it's a good fit for you. Rita Goodrow. She is like she just like was a genius at running the room. She's brilliant. She has no idea I'm sharing this, by the way. So just a shout out to her. But it is so her zone of genius and so her connection style and so her communication style. She's also in a place in business where she's built her other strategies so she can layer something in. But it is just like it lights her up and she is just like rocking in. It's just like so in her zone. So even though she has other strategies going on, this is such an obvious thing for her to layer in terms of her connection style. It is very much not my connection style. So again, just for perspective, I am a one-on-one person. That's why I do one-on-one work. Or I'm a one here. I feel like I'm talking to you, not to everyone. That is my connection style, which is why I just know great app for certain personality types and for certain people in a certain place in business or how they're connecting. But for me and my connection style, it doesn't even tap into, I don't know if we have a zone of genius with connection style, but it doesn't tap into the way I best connect and build relationships. And I think it's helpful to remember the whole point of showing up on any of these platforms and engaging and sharing your content, having these conversations at the end of the day is to get in front of new people and to build and deepen those relationships. And that's why we share content, right? It's building that know, like, and trust with your people. And so you're always going to do your business and you the best service if you're choosing strategies and platforms and places to show up that really fit the way you best connect with people in real life. This is not an excuse if you're like scared to go live or scared to record something or scared to write something to avoid sharing the content you want to share. That's fear. That's a very different conversation. But this is a great, like, just place to ask yourself, what's my connection style? How do I best connect with people? How can I show up in the places that really lets me shine instead of getting hooked around FOMO and around this is what everyone else is doing. Let me abandon ship because this must be better. It's not better. It's simply different. Just like one-on-one is not better than groups. I think it's better. I'm very sold on my business model, but it's just simply different. And they are different vehicles. They are different connection styles. They garner different results. Okay, I want to see comments and then I got more thoughts for you. I said I got a lot of thoughts. Let's see. Melanie says, yes, keep your line of sight. Courtney says, I agree. I've jumped on a couple of times and was totally overwhelmed. It just doesn't fit into my overall strategy right now either. So well said, Courtney. And I think that's just, it's just so smart to be able to see that. And so great, like for everyone, like go check it out. You know what I mean? Don't take my word for it. I'm not here to tell other people, even my clients, sometimes they get annoyed at that. Like, I'm not here to tell you what's right for you. But I think that's just so smart, Courtney, what you're saying. It doesn't fit into your overall strategy right now. And that doesn't mean you're missing out on anything. It means you're being really smart and strategic and know where to focus your time and energy. Tinley says, I remember not getting on Instagram when it first started growing for this exact reason. Rather than obeying FOMO, I'd probably rather wait it out and be confident and strong where I have my strategy rather than jump ship. love that reflection so much. And there is, oh, I cannot remember who, there is an article and someone wrote an article called JOMO, Joy of Missing Out, instead of Fear of Missing Out. And someone wants to Google who wrote that so I can give proper credit where credit's due. I'll look it up after our live. But I think to what you're saying, I think this is just such a helpful thing. Like we can get hooked around FOMO, or you can also look at what's the joy of missing out? What are all the benefits of missing out? Which is part of what I came back to. Yeah, there are things there are things I will miss out on. If Clubhouse blows up and I'm not an early adopter, I will miss out on that. But the joy of missing out on that means I've got my time and energy back to focus on the priorities for me and the things that are already working in my business and to hang out with you here right now. And there's a lot of other joys of missing out. And I think that can be especially like, when you're having to make those decisions in your business where there are trade-offs. I think it's so easy. Your brain just wants to look for what am I missing? What's the negative? That's how it's wired. And I think it can be so powerful to look at, yeah, but like, what is the joy of missing out on that? Like, what's the positive of missing out on that? Heather says Clubhouse is probably my connection style, but I know it would be shiny object for me and it will pull me away from what I'm working on building right now. And she says, I love the joy of missing out. I love the joy of missing out too. I wish I could take credit for that, but I can't. And I'll find the name and put it in the comments later for who coined that. But I think to what you're saying, Heather, I think that's like you're just picking up what I'm putting down here. And I just want to reflect that to everyone listening now in the replay, because that's exactly it. Even if it is your connection style, and this goes with really any strategy, even if there's a strategy you'd be great at or that is your connection style. My podcast, I will use as an example here. I've been wanting to add in a podcast. I had a podcast my first year in business and I intentionally stopped it. And I've been waiting to bring it back to you. That is my connection style. I love it like so much, you all. I'm having so much fun with it. And it's my connection style, like 100% my connection style and how I like to share content. But to what Heather was saying, the reason why she's not jumping on Clubhouse is right now it will pull her away from what she's focused on. Split focus gives you split results. The reason I didn't bring in a podcast last year or the year before is I didn't have the time in my business. It would have literally been split focus. I was building up my team. I needed to bring my team to a place where I was buying some of my time back so that I could layer that on. I also gave y'all a free course last year, a 6-week free sales course, which had my focus. I couldn't do both well at the same time, even though both were my connection style, which by the way, free sales course, my team turned evergreen for y'all. If you didn't sign up for that, sell out without feeling like a sellout, completely free, full 6-week course. I'll make sure we drop the link for that because you can sign up now at any time. That'll be evergreen for all of you. But to what Heather is saying, and I think it just says it so well, even though podcast was my connection style, even though that's something I wanted to do, even though that's a great thing for me to layer on, if I had layered that on last year, that would not have made sense. It's why we intentionally waited until this year to bring that on. I think the more you can look at your business this way, and the more you can look at like, okay, even if this is a great strategy, even if this is a good idea, even if this is a great new offer to bring on, even if this is a great new app, even if this is something I could be great at and would make me money, do I have the bandwidth right now? Where will this take away attention, energy, focus from what I'm currently building? And I always, I've used this example on Instagram. I do bite-sized biz lessons on there. And I've used this example before. I think a really great place to check in with this is to think about, if we think about like a plane, are you in a plane that you're building on the way going down? That's really good evidence that we've got to finish building that plane and that engine first until it's flying smooth. If your plane is going down, and I just always think of that, like with the podcast, we're like building the plane as we go down until we have the systems and processes worked out there. And it's kind of like running really smoothly, which means you don't want to go start building another plane because the plane you're in is going to crash. If you're in a plane that you've like built the engine for and it's just flying and soaring really easily, you might have some time and energy to build another plane. And I find that's just a helpful way to think about, is it a distraction or is it an addition? Is it a distraction? Is it going to like split focus, or will this garner like something new that you can layer onto your business? The other thing, let me see this comment, and then I want to talk about leveraging time, because that's another Again, I don't want to hate on the app. That's not what this conversation is about, but there is something here from a strategic perspective. And one of the reasons I'm choosing not to spend, at least right now, I give myself full permission to change my time, but strategically, one of the reasons I don't see this app serving my business. But let's see. The comment here. I agree. Finding time to do actual work and manage your normal social media channels would make Clubhouse a big distraction for me at the moment. However, it does seem like a great platform to network on. 1,000%. I think that's exactly it. It is a great platform to network on. And if you're going to use this as your main platform, just checking in, like, do I have the time to go all in on this? What's the saying? Can you put, we don't half-ass things, we put our whole ass into it. Can you put your full ass into this? If you're going to half-ass it, maybe just a thing to check out from time to time. Heather says, this is a link for Jomo. Thank you for sharing that. You are amazing. I appreciate you for doing that for us. So Heather linked to give credit to the joy of missing out. So leveraging time. So here is, when it comes to Clubhouse, here's one of the other reasons, in my personal opinion, and what I really think about it, and why I'm choosing currently not to spend a ton of time on that. With my business, with marketing, with strategy, and something I'm always talking to my clients about is really looking strategically at anything you're creating in your business, marketing wise, making sure we can use it multiple times and that we can leverage the time you have put into making whatever that piece of content is. We're essentially talking repurposing, but really being clear that you can leverage your time. Again, time is one of your most valuable assets, and kind of the same way where you can invest money into retirement, right? I invest money into my SEP, and over time that's going to compound, and whatever money I've put in, like, that money is going to start making money for me. Similar with your time, anytime you're pouring into creating content and building relationships to the best of your ability, we want to look at how can we leverage your time? Can we use your time and the collateral you're creating with content? Can we leverage this so that it can compound for you and sort of like give you more time back with what you're spending time on? Let me know if that makes sense. So something I'm always very mindful of is anything I create, how many places can we use it, and can we use it at least in at least more than one way, so that it is serving me, my business, my audience in more than one way. With Clubhouse, because when you finish your conversation, it's done. It's not recorded. I mean, I'm sure there's a third-party app. I'm sure things will come out. As far as I know right now, those conversations aren't recorded. Outside of like jotting a bunch of notes for yourself, I don't know how I can leverage my time in there and repurpose what I share in there. Here, for example, when I go live, my team takes this, we transcribe it, we repurpose this into written content that gets repurposed into a blog post. Like, this content gets used in multiple ways. We've taken live trainings and turned them into paid products, or these turn into resources for my clients. So there's lots of ways anything I'm putting out is getting used more than once. So we're really leveraging my time used to create it, and it feels really valuable than any time I'm putting in, plus any team time, right? If I'm paying a team, I'm paying them to do a lot of these things. I know then it's valuable. Like, if I'm spending an hour, it's really valuable, not just in terms of the relationships I'm building and how this works in my marketing, but it's valuable because I know we can take this and reuse it in multiple ways. Welcome to agree. I know this is, I think y'all are picking up what I'm putting down, but I know this is not necessarily the popular opinion on in the online space. I personally am not clear on how I can leverage the content I'm sharing or the value I'm sharing in Clubhouse or my time in that space. And until I can see that, I don't know how that's like, if I spend 2-3 hours in there, that is 2-3 hours I will never get back. And again, not just, like, relationships are so important, we're not discounting that, but it makes it really hard from a strategic place in your business then to take that and use that and leverage it in multiple places. And I would offer, and I just want to see comments here, I would just offer for everyone here, these are just things I would think about from a mindset perspective, and really taking a look in, like, can I separate out of FOMO? Can I get back into the joy of missing out and look at what are the priorities in my business? What are our goals? Is the plane I'm in, am I building on the way down, or do I have space and time to build on another plane? If so, can I make that decision from a neutral strategic place because I know it serves my business if I layer this on, versus from a place of I'm so scared I'm going to miss out, or this is so much better, where you're abandoning ship? And then I would invite everyone here to check in with, and if I'm going to spend my time and energy somewhere else in my business, what is the return on that time and investment? Can I leverage this time? Can I reuse, repurpose, recycle this content in some way so that it's compounding for me in my business? And personally, I think that can really help you make strategic decisions. So you're not just giving your time away, but you're sharing your time and your value in a way that serves your audience, serves your people, but also really serves your marketing now as well as later in your business. Let me know if that makes sense, y'all. I think those are all the things I wanted to share with you. But let me know if you have any questions. I know I had a couple questions for you all. And I was going to give you all a couple other reminders here. I do talk about this in episode 5 of my podcast in a different way, but one of the things that feels important here, and this is not even mindset related, but this is energy related. The reason this conversation came up and why I wanted to bring it to you as well, and something I think is just a helpful reminder, is I think this is just such great evidence that there really is not one way, and that all of the ways work. Like all the strategies work. Like every way works. If you, my coach always says, if you pick and stick, but if you clearly decide what you're doing, focus on it, go all in and work it until it works. So I think like that's one thing. Like nothing is better than the other. They're just different. If you go all in on something, it's always going to work better for you than if you split your focus. And this is an invitation. The reason I was able to get clear on this is I really make it a focus requirement in my business I do my daily mindset work, but I'm always checking in with what are my thoughts around something? How am I feeling? And so instead of after this experience, when I was feeling drained, instead of making myself wrong, or instead of thinking, why, like, well, that just means like there's something wrong with me, or I didn't get enough sleep, or like I need to figure out how to do this better, or I'm not good enough at this Clubhouse app, or like I need to like, I don't know, all the noise that we can insert there. Really what that was for me was, how can I listen to what's going on here and get curious about this and unpack this a little bit and see what this is telling me? It's more like, oh, this is really interesting. Can I get curious about this? And the reason I share that with all of you is I'm sure you have had your intuition, your body, your stress levels, something, whatever we want to call this, your thoughts, your body tell you things in your business and in your life before. And I think when we're not attuned to that, or when we aren't practiced at trusting ourselves and what comes up, it's so easy to write that off and either just like push it away or ignore it. Like it would have been so easy for me to push that away and ignore it, and then feel the pressure to like be on the app and say yes to a bunch of things, instead of practicing listening to your thoughts, into your body, and into your intuition, and get clear on what it's telling you, and not just like shoving things away. And I think it's just such a helpful reminder of the power of listening to yourself. I know I say this a lot in the podcast, but the answers really are inside of you. Like what I'm sharing with you, again, this is what's right for me and my thoughts on the app. But that, like, the reason I'm clear on this, and the reason I'm able to shut that noise out when I see the, like, because I get the same notifications you do about the app. The reason it's easy for me just to notice those and let those go, and to really trust my decision and what I believe here, is because I also spent that time listening to what was coming up for me and not making it wrong and getting curious about it to find out what that really meant for me. And I think that's one of those things where it's so easy to just get like, what's the best strategy? What's the best thing? And again, I want to remind you, there is no best. They all work. Like even the worst, like this is like the annoying thing of it. Even the worst strategy works if you commit to it and work it. And so it's here to give you some permission but so much of it is about if you work it, and then allowing yourself to listen to what's coming up and really practicing not making yourself wrong when you get feedback or information like this, or when you decide to focus on something. And I think that's where the mindset work comes in. The mindset work to trust yourself, the mindset work to keep the blinders on, the mindset work to know that you're doing it right, which I feel like has been, clients, I love you. I feel like this has been like the message I've been sharing with everyone the past 2 weeks. My fiance has a theory that it's because it's the end of the new year. I think all the question marks can come up this time of year. So that was an important, I just want to see, because I know the messages come in here a little delayed. So if y'all have any questions about that, that was one last piece I wanted to share there with you. And I'm just seeing here, oh, this was the last piece I wanted to share with you with the app. And so I think I promise, I always say last thing, but I've got like 800 things I want to share here. Last thing I think is just helpful to think about with Clubhouse or with anything like this. This is not specific. This is not even about Clubhouse. These are some things I want to invite you to think about as you're approaching your business from a mindset perspective. And so you can make those strategic decisions. This isn't about Clubhouse, but when anything new comes out, whenever you have a new idea, I think there's just that reminder that there's always going to be pros and cons. There's always going to be benefits. There's always going to be trade-offs, and getting clear on which of those trade-offs serve you. And remembering with something like a new app, this is something I was chatting with my coach about, is like the early adopters for something, they're going to get the benefits if it blows up, but they're also not going to get the trade-off for them is they're going to spend all this time and energy there. So if it doesn't blow up, like that's the trade-off for them. If you are not jumping ship and running over to something new, you might not get all the benefits of if you're an early adopter to something, right? But on the flip side, if this is one of the many periscopes out there, you're also not going to be the one who's like siphoned all their time and energy away, who gets kind of bit in the ass from that. And so I think just seeing like one isn't better than the other, being on there isn't better than the other, like one strategy, one thing isn't better than the other, but just being clear that they're simply different and being clear on why you're choosing either decision so that you can be okay with any of those trade-offs instead of trying to like make one thing serve and meet all of the needs. Let me know if that one makes sense. Okay, I see a question from Tinley. Do you think that Clubhouse was more geared towards extroverts then? Do you think there will be a time when Clubhouse will serve those that aren't as active communicators? I really don't know. I think it's a really great question. I would imagine, if I had to guess, it's definitely geared towards extroverts. I'm sure there are plenty of people who are introverts. I'm mindful to say that because I'm just so mindful to label things as like for introverts or for extroverts, because I think labels can get all of us. Once we start labeling things, we can get into our head about things. I'm sure there are plenty of introverts or people who have a different communication style who are using this app in a more one-on-one capacity. And I'm sure there are ways you could use it almost like more podcast style. I think to get the full benefit of the app, I do think it's, bringing multiple people up. And I suppose in that way it can still be in that one-on-one capacity. I know for me, in terms of my connection style, maybe this is helpful in terms of differentiating. When I'm in a group or around a lot of people, because I think even when you're bringing people up into like the Clubhouse to chat, it can still be one-on-one in that way. I tend to be very aware of everyone's energy. It's one of the reasons one-on-one works well for me. Who knows? I might I've done masterminds. I might offer a mastermind in the future. But I'm hypersensitive to and attuned to what's going on for people. It's part of what makes me an excellent coach. When there are multiple people in a group, it is hard for me to stay focused when I'm so aware of everything. Like I'm picking up on everyone going on, and I'm pretty good, at knowing how to mind that, but it is more challenging for me. It's not my natural zone of communicating. I'm also just one of those people. If you see me at a party, instead of being in the middle of the party, I'm always on the side of the party, and I'm talking to someone so tell me more. I want to know your whole life story. So I do think part of it's just my communication style. So I don't know if that really answered your question, but I don't know if I'm sure even if you're introverted, this is an app you can make work for you. And again, this isn't this is a bad app, this is a good app. I think tapping in with and seeing if it serves you. And then with any of these platforms, here's the great, if you do choose to use something like Clubhouse, if you're in that place where I'm starting out, I'm building my audience, this feels good to me. I'm not on all the other apps. This is where I want to dive in. Something I will remind everyone here is there's no right way to do this stuff. Everyone who's teaching the right way to use platforms, it's just because they made something up that worked for them and they're teaching you what's worked for them. That's a new, no one knows the right way there. However you decide, that's where innovation comes from, right? There are definitely things in any app where the algorithm is going to favor certain stuff because, and this is a whole nother conversation, but all of these apps are run by business owners who are there to make money. And so they are setting up these platforms in a way to help them generally ad sales, unless they're monetizing another way. So I think there's a way you can be smart using an app to get clear on what is helping support the app for that ad revenue for the owners. But outside of that, I think what's fascinating is like, there are just so many different ways we can all use this stuff. And I think that is the fun thing about being on something new, is you get to be one of those people who pioneer and discover that and kind of like teach all the people the right way to do it. Let me know if that makes sense. I will make sure there's a follow-up question. If any of you have a follow-up question, let me know. I'm just gonna take a sip of my water. I feel like I got all my notes. We did this under an hour. I'm so proud of myself. I will tell all of you who are listening to the podcast, so proud. These are all 20 minutes or less. I'm really going to try to keep them more bite-sized there, because I know here we tend to hang out a lot longer, so you can have something that's a little more tangible. It takes a little less time. You can listen to it on double speed and it'll be whatever it is. What does that make it, 10 minutes? I know here we tend to talk and go a little more in depth, which I personally love, because I like to go in depth with y'all. What I want to leave you with, and I will just check if you do have any other questions, let me know. Same if you're watching on the replay. But I'll give you all a recap, and then what I want to leave everyone here with is, with anything you're on, the really big reminder here, and what we're talking about here is my very personal opinions. I personally think it is not a place that I can best utilize my time and leverage my time. And so I would check everyone here, just check in with, am I being clear? Like, am I clear on what's my strategy? Where am I putting my time in my business? What are my money generating activities? Am I choosing strategies that I can leverage so I can compound my time and make my time and my content work for me? And if I'm adding something new on, am I layering something on because my plane is gliding through the air? Or am I still building my plane on the way down, like abandoning ship to try to build something new? And if so, where is that coming from? Is that coming from a fear of missing out? Is that coming from a place of fear? Is that coming from a place of scarcity? Is that coming from a place of, I don't trust myself and that this is working? I think that's where the gift really is to unpack, like, what is driving this want to go focus on something else, to abandon ship. I've chat with this is like such a side tangent, but it's so related here. I talk with clients about this all the time. So often when that comes up, it's because there's something feeling uncomfortable with what you're doing. And it's like the easy button, the self-soothe button, to hit the eject button and go focus somewhere else. But all that does is repeat the cycle. So I think just a really great place for any of you who are like feeling that want to like hit the eject button because you're in that discomfort. That is not a great reason to layer something new in. Like, that's what I've checked in with. What is the joy of missing out? And to get back to the mindset work and to the self-trust and to the listening, to checking in with what's coming up for me here that I need to unpack. Because then the opportunity is to stay focused. What do I need to focus on? And overall, as a general reminder, there is no one right way. There is no one right way. There is no one right way. Every way works if you work it and if you trust it. Like, really and truly, like, I'm blown away. I have the gift of seeing the behind the scenes of so many different businesses and different business models and different ways of running business. I'm blown away sometimes at this stuff where I'm like, go figure. Like, that's not what I would have expected. Even that way works. Like, it all works if you commit to it and work it. And then just to check in with when things don't feel good, when you have emotions coming up, when you have thoughts coming up, when you're feeling drained, can you take that time instead of pushing and shoving it away to listen, to tune in, to check in? What is coming up for you there? What is that information you need to take from that? How can you use all of this to make strategic decisions in your business that serve you instead of emotional reactions or ways to avoid feeling discomfort? Okay, Tilly says that was so helpful. Thank you so much. I love the idea of JOMO and trusting in your process rather than jumping ship because we're uncomfortable not going with the crowd. You just put like the perfect summary and button on it. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. I love you all. Reminder, go catch out. Is that a phrase? Go catch the podcast if you're interested in listening to that. I'd love to have your earbuds and share that with you. I really have been loving creating it, and I would be so grateful to any of you who would leave an honest review when you do. And if you've been interested in working with me one-on-one and want my support to help you build, grow, and scale a profitable business, and to do it your way, and to keep those blinders on when you want to hit the eject button and jump ship, reach out. I will put a discovery call link below. I am fully booked, but we are opening up spots, and I think we still have spots in March because we had a few opening up in March, and then we definitely have April and May opening up. So be sure to book a call with me. I always keep them very low-key, pressure-free. I promise if there's not a fit, I will lovingly, honestly tell you and refer you to one of the other amazing coaches that I know. So thank you all for being here. Heather says, I love JOMO and have to run. Have your podcast up to listen for tomorrow. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you all for being here. Have a beautiful night. I'll see you next week with another topic. Bye. All right, now I have to figure out how to do, all right, don't mind me on figuring out the technology. I have to figure out how I end y'all on Zoom. So I'm saying bye, but there is, oh, here's my screen here. Okay, I end here. Bye, y'all.